Will this get picked up?
No.
No.
Like maybe, but no. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's fine.
F your dog.
At least the rabbit's quiet.
Please tell me you get that in there.
So welcome back to Carsting Couch. Today we have Jane, the king of cars that don't start too well. So tell us, Jane, what do you drive and what have you done with it?
So I've got two cars. I've got an SW20 MR2, which at the moment doesn't start, and the car I bought today, which is a 1972 Toyota Celica TA22. I've had it for around 7 to 8 months, and because of COVID, it's only seen the road recently. Yeah, I bought it. It's been restored by the previous owner, but in kind of this auto salon sort of thing. I don't know, the colour scheme's not really my thing, so I've bought a whole new interior for it, original stuff, over COVID, just been accumulating it, and so far all I've done is just pop the wheels on, which we imported from Japan. They're Dunlop Le Mans 60s, back when Dunlop made wheels, and yeah, I've wrapped them in RE003s.
And what plans do you have for it?
So I've bought a 2TG, which is the twin cam, twin carb Yamaha head motor that came in the GT spec. Gonna rebuild that, throw that in the car. Obviously swap over all the interior parts that I've accumulated and do some like small styling things like, you know, your fender mirrors and whatnot. And then maybe one day go down to a beam swap, but at the moment I want to keep it carbureted just for that kind of classic feel, yeah, because that's kind of the whole point of the car. Although a beam swap would go really well with it.
It depends, like, would you want it to be fast or would you want it to be cruisy?
It's more of a cruiser, it really is. So, you know,
I reckon a 2TG would sound better.
yeah, for sure. And that's why I went with the 2TG first and not going straight into a beam swap. But, you know, if my plans change one day, I think the beams would be probably the best fuel injected engine you can put in there. Because 1UZs and 1Js in the TA22 don't quite fit. So to avoid cutting everything, a beams would go really well.
So you need a 23, you reckon, to put a
Yeah,
V8
just
in?
because that's a little bit longer of an
Longer
engine
nose.
base. You can then put in like a 1UZ or a 1J. But even still, like that's a lot of power for such a small car. It's probably not safe anyway. So yeah, I think the beams is a really good fit for it.
So what is your favourite car?
It's a really tough question to ask any car enthusiast, but I think for me it's going to have to be the Ferrari F40, just because of how ridiculous it is as a Ferrari. Like, you'd expect it to be, you know, kind of luxurious and the ultimate driving machine, and I know that's a BMW phrase, but yeah, and the F40 is just a go-kart on steroids. So it's just absolutely crazy, and it's the last car that Enzo himself commissioned, so you know, it's got something special about it.
Surely it had some influence to the generation of the turbo people being obsessed with turbochargers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Boosting cars off their heads.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the first cars. Surely one of the origins of the obsession.
Yeah, and it had, like, you know, such a good battle with the Porsche of the time as well.
959.
That's the one. So yeah, I think everybody's just going to remember like that era as just like a crazy turbo era.
They definitely were the grandfathers of supercars, surely.
Yeah, oh, they're great.
So what got you into cars, Jane?
That would be my dad for sure, because he's, you know, ever since I can remember, he's always been tinkering with his cars, and I think it was like 8 or 9, sat out there with him, he taught me how to like change brake pads, and you know, I was always around the Weekender, which was a Porsche 924 Turbo, and he absolutely loves that car, and then I grew to love it so much because I learned how to drive manual in it, so it was the first car I drove. And yeah, it's just that it's, you know, turbo, lightweight, old. You know, it really just brought something out, and that's why I love cars. And yeah, to this day, you know, it still has an influence on me because I went chasing that kind of feeling from a car. So I ended up with the MR2, which was pretty similar in that respect. But yeah, it's just that is what got me into cars.
What is your dream 5-car garage?
So obviously the F40 being at the top, being my ultimate car, I guess. The Toyota 2000 GT is really cool. An E46 M3. I had an E46 as my first car, and I really want an M3 of that. Porsche 930 Turbo. And that fifth spot, it's really tough. I was tossing up between the MR2 TA22 Celica GT and an MR2, but seeing as I own two of them already, I've put the Datsun in that fifth spot.
So if you had $100,000, what car would you buy, why, and would you do any mods to it?
So I guess there's two cars on my list there that I could probably afford with the 100K, but if I'm just picking one car to spend it on, I think I'd splash out and get like my ultimate E46 M3. So I'd get it in like the Laguna Seca blue, or maybe like the black sapphire, because I do really like that color as well. With the, you know, the red interior, make sure it's manual, have it low Ks, have it in mint condition, you know, like perfect sort of thing. In terms of mods, I wouldn't do too much to it, maybe just a little bit of suspension, a couple of some wheels and stuff, but I don't want to ruin it, I don't want to turbo it or anything like that. I want to experience that M3, what it's all about sort of thing. And I'd keep that as just as pristine as possible.